Do you ever notice that once you find yourself frustrated in practice, it leads to more frustration? That all of a sudden people are now coming in late, there's more people complaining, and the staff comes in and there's challenges and problems. And it just seems to be a negative downward spiral. I am Dr. Russ Rosen, if you don't know me, and I help natural healthcare providers like you thrive in a care versus scare, true optimal health model. I was just speaking with a coaching client of mine and had a little bit of a break. So I thought I'd make this because I thought it was a really interesting conversation where he had said to me, listen, I find myself getting frustrated. And when I get frustrated, it becomes this negative downward spiral and it takes me out of the zone. Now, I've been working very closely with this doctor who's waitlisted and keeping him in the zone, get in the zone, stay in the zone, not allow yourself to get frustrated and etc. But he says, I really notice that once I get frustrated, I'm out of the zone. And then it's like I'm blogging through quicksand. So we just had this conversation where I was saying, look, we have to look at two things. Number one is how do I not get frustrated? Number two, what do I do once I am frustrated? So I know for sure we can decrease the amount of frustration. We can decrease the number of times we get frustrated. But no matter what, it's still going to happen. We can get frustrated. And then the question is, what are we going to do about it? So the first one I want to look at is how do we just not get frustrated in the first place? If you do things like QNRT or neuroemotional technique and you're working on yourself, you'll find you're working on things, you're cleaning up belief systems and headspace issues and neuroemotional complex, some subconscious issues, and you're just not getting frustrated as often. Okay. But the other pieces of the puzzle is this. You need to realize, at least from my perspective, that it's a thought that leads to the frustration. It isn't the event. It's not what the person said. It's not what the email said. It's a thought. Thoughts lead to feelings. Feelings lead to behaviors. Behaviors lead to actions. Actions lead to present. Present leads to future. Okay. So the thought can be conscious thought, or it can be a subconscious thought. But that thought is going to lead to you feeling frustrated. It's not that the person came in late, it's what you tell yourself about the person coming in late. Really a lot to that, but it's really how that works. So step one is to every time you feel frustrated, stop for a moment, go back in time and find the thought, find the event, and write it down. So you want to start to list out all of the different things that happen in, events and things that people say. It could be that a patient is running late. It could be that you're running late. It could be that they're complaining. It could be that they're not getting better. It could be that your spouse said something or did something, your kids did something, or any of the social media stuff or the political stuff or whatever it is, but something happened that caused you to have a thought about it, and that thought leads to the frustration. Okay, so an old adage that I live by and I really help my coaching clients through is clarify the problem and the solution becomes self-evident. So I want you, every time you're frustrated, to just make a note about what it is. Now you're going to start to recognize that there's a handful of things that can lead to you not feeling good, can lead to you having frustration. Okay, now once you've got that list, recognize that there's headspace and procedure. So the headspace, you need to recognize that it's what you're telling yourself that means, right? Somebody, is complaining about their pain, and you're telling yourself that means they don't believe you. That means that they think that you suck. That means blah, blah, blah. But it's the meaning that you put on it. Shy of someone punching you in the face, it's really the meaning that you put on it. So it's really important to start to get that from a headspace perspective, start to recognize these things happen. This is what I tell myself. about it, and then I can do something about it. Okay. I love Byron Katie's book called Loving What Is. There's a very specific 4 questions and statement process that helps me clear myself of those issues. It helps me find my center and keep my center. There's NET and QNRT and tapping and EFT and all kinds of different things you can do. Okay. Then there is the procedures. So now that I recognize that I get frustrated when people come in late, I want to come up with a procedure to handle that and then make a policy about that. I.e., I can let people know that they have this much time when they come in and get work done, adjusted or their session or whatever it is that you do. And if they show up late, they still only have that much time. I'm not going to make the next person late because of them. Just make that part of your policy. If you have a policy that if they miss an appointment, they still pay for it, right? 24-hour cancellation policy right in there. Let them know this is how this works. So show up early. Okay. It could be how to handle complainers. I have a whole process on how to handle complainers. It could be my process of what I do when I feel someone is not getting better. I've done modules on these and I've posted on these different things. But you want to get extremely clear about the headspace component as well as the procedural component. How do I handle these things? And then you just want to be really clear about what sets you off. Really, in essence, that's what we're doing. Get really clear about what sets you off and then fix both the headspace, the procedure, and make it policies, make procedures. This is how I deal with these kinds of issues. Okay. Um, Obviously, I love working through this stuff with my one-on-one coaching clients because I can customize it for them. I can help draw out what's really doing it for them and then figure out why from a headspace perspective, maybe do some neuroemotional technique with them and help them clear that out. And then look at the possible procedures. Well, how do I handle someone complaining? How do I handle the schedule? How do I handle these are the things, that usually set me off. And then the next question is, what am I going to do when I do get frustrated? Because no matter how good you get at all of that, you're still going to get frustrated if you're, not walking on water yet. So, what you're going to need to do is once you're frustrated, figure out what process will work for you. For me, Byron Katie's Loving What Is book is by far the best thing to quickly in a moment. I literally in a moment can think a couple of questions and I'm free. Another thing I ask my doctors to do is to write it down. Once you recognize you're not feeling good, and the more often you do this, the better you get at noticing right when it happens. So it's not weeks later, it's not days later, it's not hours later. At the beginning, it is like you just have no clue what's setting you off. But eventually, it's like when it happens, you can notice it. Or all of a sudden, a couple of patients into it, I recognize there's a heaviness, there's an uckiness. I'm not feeling good. All I got to do is stop and just hit the backspace button. Oh, yeah, I saw that email and that bothered me. All you need to do is write that down. Now, remember, your reptilian brain, the reticular activating system, its job is survival. It's filtering information. Its job is survival. So if it sees something that is danger to you, it's going to keep bringing it up and keep bringing it up and keep bringing it up. Why? To save you, right? I was reading a book they were talking about for every positive thought that we have 12 negative ones because the reptilian brain's job, reticular activating system's job is to look for that. Back in the old days, man, this would keep you alive, right? For the caveman. So, and we have the neocortex, so we can choose what to do about those negative thoughts and not have that run our life. But that's its job. So if you recognize that that happens, just write it down and let the reticular activating system know, I got it. It's written down. You don't need to keep bringing it up over and over and over again, right? I'm going to take care of this. And then when you do get a break, go ahead and do, tapping, do Byron Katie's work, do NET, do prayer, like do whatever it is that works for you. And again, when I'm working with my one-on-one coaching clients, um, I help them find very specific things that will work for them. But this is just something that we were just talking about that I thought that you might find value in. If so, please comment below. Let me know that you found value. If you have other things that you do that really works for you, please let me know. I'd love to know what they are. Um, please share this with others. Look, if you're looking to thrive in a care versus care true optimal health model, if you want to get fully waitlisted where you have more demand than supply, I can help you do that. Just comment below. We can set up a time to chat. We'll get clear about where you're at, where you want to get to, and how I might be able to help you get there. Hope you found value as love. As always, much love and aloha. Bye, gang.